Hello, everyone, and welcome to Chasing Puck Live, episode 22. Don't know about you, but I feel 22. That is probably the one and only reference to Taylor Swift that we're going to get this evening. Or who knows? You never know with us. We just might throw in as many Taylor Swift references we might know and might not know. But hope everyone had a good weekend. Your team won or had something memorable to talk about. Obviously, there has to be winners and losers. So, unfortunately, if your team won, great. But unfortunately, if your team lost, we'll have to talk about them as well. So, always greatly appreciated for you to taking the time to come and listen to an episode with us. Greatly appreciated. And thank you for all the questions that have been sent in over the last couple of days. Been a busy mailbox as always. So, thank you very much for your time and your questions that you've thrown over to us over the last couple of days. Yeah, without further ado, it is time for the first question. And the first question is, does anyone want to win the Elite League trophy this season? Yeah, what a question. In the circumstances, I mean, it's been a great weekend. The four teams really that are vying for that final position. Devils, great performance on Sunday as well. Really good couple of games. Devils played really, really well. From what I've been gathering from the information that people have said, that game on Sunday against the Panthers might have been a 0-0 and won on overtime, but it seemed like a very exciting, fast-paced game between two teams that both wanted it and played highly, highly well. And of course, you've got to look at the Giants. Was it expected that they would lose to Stars on Saturday? I think people were very, very unsure that that was happening, really, if you look at the circumstances. And of course, two teams facing each other. Saturday, Panthers versus Steelers, which is obviously one of the questions there where you kind of look at it and you think, that game was a humdinger, if we're honest. We've got to look at it that way. So let's break it through. So the question was, does anyone want to win the league? Yeah, of course, these teams are all vying for it. The positions they're in and the points that they've got, after another weekend of hockey. Some great action and great excitement between all the teams within the league. Game in hand for the Giants, that gap that they've got, the 3 points that they do have. Looking at the fixtures, playing Panthers twice, that back end final weekend of the season, of course, playing 5-3 times. The question is, where are they going to drop points? This Giants team now is that, it's the closest that we've had it in such a long while with three or four teams that are vying for that opportunity. And if anyone does slip up and, with being chased rather than being the chaser, you're kind of in that situation that, how are they going to react to that? And, it's great that, we saw McCollum back after a couple of weeks out of the lineup. And, testament is they needed, the results that they've played against the teams, Dundee, Storm as well, and Clan. They needed a little bit of luck and, taking the lead. That's probably one thing that they needed to do, but Guildford drew themselves back into the game. And then you finally hit that third period where you look at it and you think, Giants get that second goal and then boom, hit it on a third. And then Guildford score in the very last seconds, what frantic last minute or so between those two teams. But, questions were being raised. People were unsure, especially going into the realms of a cup final this week. They needed to get a win under their belt. And it was weird seeing, a team that's top of the league last couple of games just slipping up. And same with the Steelers as well. It seemed very odd. But my thought process with that would be that, this is what we wanted. We wanted a stronger league this year. And, people obviously caveat that with saying that the Flyers having the points total they have with how many games left and being out of playoffs contention so rapidly, really. But you've got to look at the other 8 teams there is on any given day. Anyone can beat anyone at this moment in time, and that's obviously still including Flyers, not great with the injuries that they've got and amassed over the weekend again and how short bodies they are. But the big question really is that, Stars were shorter bodies and the form's not been great the last couple of weeks, but to go to Belfast and give a comprehensive performance like they did, were they written off before they even got into the building? 6-point week, shorter bodies in the building. and they perform amazingly well against the teams in this league. And this is what's going to happen now is that, we wanted a stronger league. We wanted the league with the best people and the best opportunities and the best games. It's exciting. If you're neutral or your team's not in the hunt or the chase, you know, you probably got that feeling in the pit of your stomach, really, because, even in the lower echelons, people want to get, they want to make sure they don't take that ninth place. They want to get into the playoffs and then hit themselves into a lottery. And then the other teams in and around, the X's are starting to appear, but people want to know what order they're in, really. Because, if you look at it, depending on if it's Storm, if it's Stars, if it's Clan, if it's Flames, if it's Blaze, there's so many games that are in that quandary, really, where there's probably some teams that are kind of looking at it thinking, I don't want to face that person. That fourth versus fifth is going to be a tough one because, these teams now, the gap that is, there was a time really where there was one team that just was in the ascendancy and took, the league would pretty much be done by now for the last couple of seasons. The fact now that, it's going into those games, the longer it goes on with the remaining games that are there, it's only good for the sport. It's only good for the excitement, the attendance levels, because people don't want to miss these moments. You look at it, Steelers, weekend, play Guildford, but then they play Devils. Devils have just played Panthers. And obviously, I said previously, Giants have to play Panthers in a couple of weeks' time. There is so many of those top four games where they're playing each other as well. And it's not just that lower echelons, less of things to people to play for. But quite easily, Storm have shown it, Clan have shown it, Stars have shown it, even Fife have shown it that, on any given day, if you're not playing at your best, you'll be punished. And these teams now do not want to be dropping points. They don't want to slip up because all it takes is one bad weekend and then everything's changing. Everything's in a situation. And of course, Steelers fans are probably looking at the drop points that they would have had, if you take into consideration that game against Coventry and, Guildford as well with the penalty shootout, and of course Panthers this weekend. They're probably looking at points that they should have picked up, and it would be a very different conversation now who was the chaser and who's being chased. But of course, it's very cliche with the question is, does anyone want to win the league? Yes, of course they do. But for all of us watching these games week in, week out, it's going to be a tough one to choose which one you go and want to watch and go and see. There's a lot more that could happen. Like I said, Giants play on Wednesday against Cardiff. That's a whole different kettle of fish. Obviously, what happens in that final, we'll talk about it in more depth as the show goes on. But, if they have a celebratory weekend, it's back into business for the weekend and look for that elusive double and, put the treble as well. So, yeah, there's a lot of hockey left to be played. Not as much as there was a couple of weeks ago, of course, but these teams now we're probably looking at that, any slip up is going to be taken fully and with great detail that, people are going to revel in it. Fan bases are great with the updates, anyone that are kind of throwing themselves into conversation on a weekly basis on Twitter and other social media channels, of course. But this is what we live for. We want it to be exciting. No one wants it to be game over with 7 or 8 games to go that people are just, not playing to their full capacity or they're just waiting for playoffs to show. It's, making the strength. I mean, obviously it's not without me doing an analogy. Top of the league now, 15 points in the Premier League is Liverpool. Closest rivals are Arsenal, followed by Nottingham Forest. It would take a monumental slip for Liverpool to not win that title. And having a title that's so close that, all it takes is one bad weekend. For Giants, Steelers could have a bad weekend as well. Panthers can take full ascendancy. Same with the Devils. This is still a very exciting time. And, with predictions, obviously, it's very much in Giants' court, of course, with the game in hand that they've got and the points tally that they've got. So the fact that they were able to get the victory against Guildford on Sunday kind of quells that fears, because going into a cup final where Devils have started to turn the corner and then Giants being in that situation where where's that next victory going to come into? It actually plays really well into Wednesday, but there's some confidence in the building. It's an Adam Keefe team. He knows and he breeds success within that group. That of course, being against the Stars and losing on a Saturday, and then being in a situation against Guildford where the pressure's on. And the thing, probably the worst scoreline that they could have had on Saturday, with Panthers and Steelers sharing the points. And then, of course, Panthers getting the penalty shootout win. But, it's still firmly in their area of expertise, really, more than anything. If they get themselves into such a good position, even if they start dropping points, now every team's pretty much got no slip up, no opportunity to arise now. Whoever slips first is going to be in the biggest trouble more than anything. So for the Giants, they are the team to obviously looking in the ascendancy to win the trophy for this year, being league champions. But the last couple of weeks has kind of shown that it's not a full, and it's a foregone conclusion, because they're quite capable, especially teams around them now that have the opportunity to take full advantage and get the points. So looking at it there as well, the next question is, when does a rivalry go too far, i.e. disrespecting the national anthem? So, yeah, I mean, obviously, if you weren't aware, over the last couple of times that Panthers have played at home against Steelers, there's obviously been that social media backwards and forward that's been going on with the national anthem. It's always been there, that kind of thing. Da da da, we hate Steelers, and Steelers suck, and all that variable. And it was loud and clear on Saturday. It was a full house. Nottingham, great attendance once again. Steelers in their droves in the away stands. Full house on a Saturday night, retro night. Loud, noisy, everything that you wanted to come into it. And you look at it, and it's something that I'm fully aware that happens all this time. I've been to football games. I've seen tragedy chanting. I've heard every single thing under the sun. I'm not condoning it, of course. Fully understand that, there's a lot of people that, have that nationalism with the royal family and served and everything like that. And I fully understand that. There's 60 minutes really in an entire game where Panthers fans can say Steelers suck. In the nicest way, it's the national anthem is, people can take their hats off, they can sit down, they can stand up, they can sing, they can hum along, they can do whatever they want to do. It's asked for them to, we play the national anthem, we do that, same when it's in Scotland as well, and same when it's in Cardiff, their national anthems are fully embraced and sung and everything like that. So, for people to use that song to bring in something like that, and the comments that have kind of come over the last couple of days that have just what's the problem, it's this, it's that, it's despicable, it's disgraceful, it's kind of opened up. And I do know that some people are unhappy about it, fully understand that. And people did post within the video that I did post about having a petition on change.org about it, saying that it should be banned and anything like that. And it's one of those things that, it was loud and clear over the weekend, and, other teams don't do it. Was it Sheffield on Sunday against Clan? No one from the Steelers lot said, Panthers suck at that point as well. I've never seen it for any other variation or anything like that. And it's a strange one, really, is that, fully, there's a good 6 minutes of hockey, 20 minutes in between in the concourse, outside the building if you're having a smoke, before the game if you're at the shop and everything like that. There is always going to be that thing. We had the conversation a couple of weeks ago, is the Steelers-Panthers rivalry back? And, these games now are got that level of spice in them. It's not like it's Nando's extra spicy or extra hot. It's a hot one. It's just teetering very nicely. I know the level of nerves, I'm very fortunate to be a person of both worlds. So I see from the Panthers fan base and also the Steelers fan base how people are nervous and how people are anxious. And, this is probably the longest time that I can remember where Panthers have started to beat Steelers, so there's that kind of 1-2 now. There's not that kind of foregone conclusion with Steelers fans thinking, this is another one on the streak, this is another one on the bow. But it also, how good it is to actually have Panthers versus Steelers rivalry when they're at the highest parts of the table, really. Because, obviously, Steelers in the past, Panthers in the past have not been at that 1-2 position or 3 or 4 position for a while in certain aspects. So to have those two teams where, these 2 points count, they always have. They always have somewhere within the line, or when it's been a playoff game or when it's been a Challenge Cup game. Of course, yeah, fully. But this is the time where it's just, the bragging rights there. Panthers are happy that they took the points, so it's kind of stopping them from the league table. And it's, you could kind of feel it, once that goal went in, the equaliser, very fortunate to get the video of the fans, everyone within where I was sitting, you could just see every single Panthers fan just full volume, full of noise when the goal went in. It was nice to hear them cheering for that and, celebrating it. And then, the volume started to pick up. Steelers hit the post 3 or 4 times. Panthers making grade A chances as well. It goes to overtime. It's backwards and forwards. First couple of minutes, it's all Panthers. Steelers, the last couple of minutes, had opportunities again to take it. Both netminders. Greenfield comes and gets the CHL goalkeeper of the team of the season of the CHL, and Grande. It's not the same thing, but he got goalkeeper of the month for chasing the puck. So, but yeah, there's been that debate the last couple of weeks about who's the better netminder. People have been throwing different hats, different names from different teams. Of course they have. You've got to love your own as well. But we're very fortunate. A battle. Even with Grande, how we played against Cardiff on Sunday, is that people are looking at these netminders, but you've got to look at it, in the conversation, you've got Whistle, you've got McAdam, you've got Vendiger, you've got Tendek coming in, Old Dale, Landon Bow, Lucas Brine, Fisk, Sabot, McCollum, Whistle, Caruth, Bounds. Is this one of the best seasons that we've had across the board of netminders within the league? Robson as well. There's just so many netminders. Shane Owen, you might say, well, how many goals he's conceded, but how many would a Fife conceded if he wasn't in the building? That is really a scary thing to think that, this is, there is certain names that, you can tip your hat to, and there's been people before, not underwriting, people like Besco and, Duba and Kowalski. There's just so many names, just a continuous level of people that you could just look at and just say, they're damn good and enjoy them while they're still playing at the highest level in the elite league. But I think we're very fortunate that across the line, every single team has either 1, 2 netminders that have just been brilliant this season. And, put on the bingo card, Greenfield versus Grande got ticked off, circled off very quickly because, that's the debate. People, Greenfield's is a hell of a netminder. He's probably saved Steelers a lot of times this year, in the CHL. People were saying, if he didn't get injured in the CHL, would have Steelers got through to the next round against Berlin? It's one of those things, really. Where would Steelers be now if Greenfield didn't get injured and, they had the Hootsman situation, Del Fippo, and, he's been playing every single game non-stop. Same as Grande, Bernard going back from being injured. He's been in that stop part there. Jackson Whistle the last couple of weeks has just been at the forefront of that team, being the netminder there and just being outstanding, performing really, really well and just standing on his head at sometimes, really. And, there's so many, we talk about 1A and 1B of having these top level netminders that come in, and then there's a mixture of that between that and then having the young Brit netminders that are there learning, developing within the group that, some get the opportunity to play and then others, get 10 minutes here or there or, aren't coming on. So, strength in numbers that's kind of there. But if you look at the top 4, the top 5 right now, you've got to look at it. Greenfield's been on top of his form. Whittle's been top of his form. Grande, Caruth and Bounds for Devils, but Robson as well. That's the top five sorted there. And you just think of it, but even going further down the line there's some high scoring games, conceding goals. It's not like it's a shutout every single night of the week, and it's not, most nights a 5 pass post here or there, but good defensively, good offensively, and good netminders is what we want this sport to grow. Is you want an excitement, every game is not going to be a 0-0 and then go into overtime, and then it's just like Sunday where you've got Caruth playing and Grande playing, and then it's just one little slip, one little mistake, and then the winner's there. It's high value, fast, fluent hockey where, people are going to get beaten. I mean, you've got to look, 4-2 Landon Bow. First chance I've got really chance to see him up close at the weekend. And yeah, he conceded, he conceded 4. But, how admirable and how well he played in that game. And some of the saves he's made. I mean, there's a video that we've got, if you've not had a chance to look at it, where the puck gets deflected. It's not, he reacts to it and he's on the floor on the ice, literally seconds. He gets back up, not full body shaped or anything, and he picks that puck that's just coming towards him while he's still sitting on his ass. Credit where credit's due. Could have easily let that one go past or not been set, not fully bodied or anything like that. And, a couple of times there, you've got to look at it. And these are very talented netminders that we've got this year. And I think that's what we want, whoever is the ones that come through, it's all about form. That is going to be a big factor. And it probably falls into Wednesday. The thing is with McCollum coming in on Sunday and playing as well as he did, and Whistle playing the last couple of games, the strengths that he has. But then same with Devils as well. I mean, you've got Berman that's in the building as well. You've got Caruth, you've got Ben Bounds, you're looking at that's 5 names. And obviously, of course, Dixon as well. 6 names there of top quality netminders that they have picked to choose from that plays on Wednesday. And it's going to be a battle. It's going to be great. And I think that's obviously what a lot of people are looking forward to, is a really exciting final. So looking at that, really great that I think obviously the last couple of weeks has been, for the amount of games that come through and the excitement levels that have come through. But, going back to it, of all the things that happened on Saturday, it was a damn good shootout. Really 2 top teams playing to the best of their ability. It is a little bit of a stain, in the nicest way. People speak about it. There's probably a little bit of ums and ahs about it now, but we're on a Monday now talking about the hockey. That's the most important thing. Yes, it's a disrespectful thing. And, you've got to look at last year, there's so many factors that have just been there that, on loan T-shirts, or not T-shirts, but signs and stuff like that. And then anyone but Sheffield and stuff like that. And, fake washing, we're not number one kind of things or anymore, that why are you singing that and stuff like that. There's always going to be that form of conversation that's going to happen. But, I think for me, you can say Steelers suck before a game, during a game, and after a game. But there's probably one area of lockdown that for 30 seconds, 45 seconds, that it's just God save the king. Does that part need to obviously just be sung? For me, no. And, people have asked me about it, and, maybe I shouldn't have recorded it at that time. That's probably a level of more the things. It kind of brought it into public consciousness more that it was done and said. But, people can hear it and people can see it. And you could hear, you could see the Steelers fans doing the conducting when they were saying it, because they all knew it was going to happen, knew it was going to come. And especially in a full house building like that, and especially after Forest beat Man City, and the sun was shining in Nottingham, which is a rarity in itself these days. But, a few people have been drinking, people have had a laugh, and, people have memories of moments that have happened, the Battle of Parliament Street and, big names like Scott Allison and, poor lady, and so many people that you can factor in and stuff like that. But for me, I've said it. The rivalry is back. That's my personal thought, my personal opinion about it. And these games are going to be good. If the opportunity is that I'm assuming there might be a playoff game that those two teams might face off again. Of course, pre-season. Maybe at Sheffield, who knows, wherever it will be. But yeah, recruitment wise, if it's anything like what it's been last season, following to this season, I think a lot of people are going to, that's going to be the hottest ticket in town again. As one of, there's always a few when you go to these games that, when Devils come to town, when Giants come to town, that's a great game. Panthers versus Giants, fans are great from both sides. They have a laugh and a joke. Never forget and everything like that comes to the forefront again. But, these are the games that people live for, is that, they have an enjoyment of it and really exciting times ahead. So next question on the list, and it was is predictions for Wednesday. So obviously, if people aren't aware, post out the news today that I will be travelling to Belfast City tomorrow. So I'm in Belfast tomorrow, Wednesday for the final, and then most of the morning on Thursday. So, pretty much two and a half days back in Belfast. So I've not been since the Challenge Cup final against Fife back in 23. So yeah, it's going to be good to be back. It's a city that I have really fond memories of. I've got some good friends that I know that will be there that I can say hi to and catch up with. Of course, on social media, I've asked where to go for food and drink and visit, because obviously the rink tour, I didn't do the rink tour because that never existed the last time I was in Belfast City. So, that's going to be great. Do I go to the Titanic Museum? Do I go to the spa? Do I go to, so many places for food and drink. Been Googling it for the last couple of hours or so. So yeah, unfortunately not going to Alicante for an hour. The flights have opened up so I can travel to Belfast the old-fashioned way, just straight there from Nottingham, East Midlands. So East Midlands City, find a way to the city centre. And then, just have a bit of a wander, bit of a laugh, bit of a joke, see what the crack is. But yeah, it's exciting to be going back to Belfast. One of my favourite places to go, if I'm honest. Hopefully, seeing the fans again would be an actual delightful thing. So yeah, 5 o'clock on Wednesday. Looks like I'm going to be in McHugh's for pre-game pints. Obviously, if you are in town, if you're a Devils fan or a Giants fan, let us know. We'll come and say hi and whatnot and everything. It'd be good to, obviously, I've only seen a few Giants fans when I've been at Nottingham and Sheffield. Same with Devils fans. So it'd be great to actually meet some people from the other side of the coin. Because, I keep meeting Steelers fans, really. I live with one, so, that's all I know. So we'll have a look at this. But yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be a really good time. It's great to have a final. Obviously, the news that's just come out the last hour or so is that the final is going to be aired on TV. So, well, not aired on TV, but it's going to be streamed. Of course, with Franny doing it and Murph on commentary, two great people. They'll be line up the commentary. Admittedly, it's £8 for the stream within the realm of making that one-off purchase. But, from what I can gather, ticket-wise, done very well with the Giants. I've seen on social media Devils fans saying that we'll be there. They'll be flying over, hotels, a couple of nights. So it'll be good to see those guys as well. And I think that's what you mean. It's logistically possible to have a game in Belfast on Wednesday. Thought I'd throw that one in again. Of course, after the last couple of years of that being said. But yeah, I'm going on one of those Aer Lingus propeller flights. So I've never been on one of those before. So that's going to be exciting. But yeah, I'm really happy that I get the chance to go. Admittedly, I'm on my Todd because someone's team didn't make it to the final and didn't want to go over in orange, which is fair enough. But yeah, the game itself, the way Devils have been the last couple of weeks, the results have not gone their way, but they've turned a corner. This is the thing. That happened to them, then the opposite actually changed. Giants have played as well as they possibly can, and then the last couple of games has just slipped. But performances have been there. The old adage that Adam Key says, getting that full 60. But it's a final. This is the thing, form always plays a factor. Injuries within a group, form of particular players that are going to strike big. But I mean, you've got people like Joey Martin, you've got Scott Conway, you've got Whistle. If it's Cruth or Bounds, so many players within the group from everyone in that team is a match winner for both sides. It's going to be one of those games where it's just going to be exciting. And yeah, fully understand. The last time that Cardiff went over to Giants, the result, of course, is not something that that Devils fans that are listening, I do apologise. Obviously we want to utter again with the final scoreline, but this is the thing with the final is that anything can happen. Decision goes through, penalty gets taken. The coyness of trying to keep it under control is, there's so many levels of factors that can be put in, really, more than anything. So it's going to be a tough one to call. I, honestly feel like it's not going to get done in the 60. Just sorry for people that support the Giants and support the Devils. Your nerves might just have to go through a little bit of extra hockey that comes through that way. I just feel it's just going to be too close to call. I think there's going to be goals in it. Of course, I'm not expecting it to be a drab, dull affair. There will be goals from both sides, but I just feel like it's just going to be backwards and forwards, really. I'm not going to say who I think is going to win, because obviously if you're listening to this after the fact, I might edit it in and just add an extra where I said whatever team wins and make it sound like I was right. Of course, I wouldn't do that, of course. But in the nicest way, it's two sets of fans. It's going to be great to see them both challenge for the Challenge Cup. And, on their day, either one of them can just pull off a victory and it'll be great. Obviously Cardiff winning the Conti Cup tray, and Belfast, the season they had previously have had a point to prove. They've recruited well, they've got top quality players in the building, and they'll want to do it in front of their own fans. 25th anniversary, they had Cowboy Night the other day, and big attendances, big expectations within the fan base, so they'll want to get it done and get it done right. And last time I was there, saw a giant celebration after they beat Flyers. So they'll have a lot of fun, a lot of excitement. That one, just officials have the logic will be it's a final. You don't want anything to be decided by that. I'm sure they'll have the VAR in place as they have for the last couple of games for any calls or anything like that, and then the explanations will be thrown in where they need to be, but the right people will be there. All eyes will be on it from the fans that are there. Of course, the fact it's been streamed as well has kind of put people in the position that people have a chance to watch it if they want to, and which is absolutely fine. So we did do the vote on the questions, and I'll give you the final results because no one's really added an extra question in the last 10 minutes or so. So it is 80% of people that voted believe that Devils are going to win, and 20% is going to be, yeah. So that's an interesting one. That'll be good for that one. So yeah, it's going to be an exciting couple of days, really, going through. And then, of course, yeah, the other factor is that it's a Wednesday. I think that's still a factor that, opportunities that we are now on the 10th of March, not fully sold out as of yet. People have obviously made the trek. I mean, admittedly, how much... I mean, I'm flying from Nottingham, so, it's a little bit of different price. And I'm not going to Alicante for an hour, which obviously still upsets me because the flight's straight now from one place to the other. But, yeah, Saturday night, making a trip, make a weekend of it, level of difference that's there, for Cardiff playing to overtime and, 6 minutes from Guildford. So you're looking at it, if they stopped over Monday, rest day, flight day, coming back, day off Tuesday as well, morning skate on the Wednesday, a Devils travelling up Wednesday. They're going to be in Belfast there. Of course, they'll probably try and get there late afternoon or anything like that, especially if they're having a morning skate. Last thing they want to do is anything like that. They just want to be calm, collected in the building. And, from respect to, cup final being on a Wednesday compared to a Saturday, I'd love to see them to try it, of course. It'd be something that'd be quite interesting to get it through. I was there the previous year when it was Steelers versus Guildford, and it was a house of orange, really. Of course, it would be being in Sheffield, the final. But Guildford, didn't have that many people that came up. They had the fans there. Of course, they did. Absolutely, they did. But it was just a small minority that were there for that game. And, it was just one of those things, really. I mean, Cardiff fans really love that double header when they go to Belfast. They travel in their numbers, distance-wise, with the airports that are close by, and maybe up to Liverpool to the ferry, depending on what you fancy as well. But for me, that's the thing. They've shown, from what I can see, it's logistically possible to get there on a Wednesday. But yeah, I get the factor that I think a lot of people would like to be, because, work is, of course, one of those big components, really, in anything. It's that time of year where if people are April to April within their holiday remit, people might not have the hours or the time to take time off. Affordability as well compared to flying on a weekday to the weekends. There's so many variables and factors and hotels and everything to consider, and food and hospitality and everything like that, and cost. But hopefully, if they look at it going forward with, the Challenge Cup, how that format's going to look, what worked well, what didn't work well, what they could enlighten and improve on. Good that they've got a stream in place. Of course, people, I can see on social media now while I'm talking, aren't overly happy about the costing implications of said final. But, it was always going to be a situation. This isn't a thing where they're going to slap it on Premier Sport or, behind a paywall, or even, put it on YouTube free. I know we've had this conversation, is that, people would say, well, you can grow the sport by having it on YouTube. Why don't you do that and stuff like that? But there is still, £18 for a costume for it compared to what the normal pricing is or anything like that. And trying to get everything set up, will it go within that bracket or anything like that? It's going to make people to make a decision, especially spending £18 on a game. People will probably have a vested interest. Of course they would. But, if it's Belfast fans, majority of them are going to be there at the game anyway. Devils fans, of course, they will have an interest if no one's been able to make the travel or anything like that. They'll want to follow their team. They'll want to watch their team and look at it that way. But, is there going to be like a Steelers fan that's going to want to watch it? Is there going to be a Panthers fan that wants to watch it? Is there going to be a Five fan that wants to watch it? That might just turn the bracket of what they want to do and going forward with it. There we go. So next question that kind of got thrown in as well was officiating again. So a lot of people asked me about the game again on Sunday against Clan versus Steelers, because where I was standing, that last couple of seconds that was happening between Clan and Steelers, where they were, put hell to leather, really trying to get that equalising goal. And, we got the video that kind of got obscured by David Good doing his job, first and foremost. I'm not going to hold him against him. That I had the perfect angle to dispute that query that obviously was a secondary angle compared to what was on the stream and that I was posted, but his bum got in the way. So appreciative if he's listening or anything like that, or any of the refs listen to this, pass on my thanks for that. It was very kind of him to do so at the time. But yeah, that's the thing is, as far as I can see it, Greenfield stick hits the net, hits the bottle, and that's what makes the bottom and the net ripple. There was no disputing it, no decision, no buzzer went off, no one within the fans or the players kicked up any kind of inference that it went in. We're looking at it now. We've seen the videos from different angles that were on the stream that's been posted on the highlight packages, and people screenshotted after the game and had the video. It kind of factors in there where, credit to Clan, they made it a game where they weren't out of it by any stretch of the imagination. Scoring from the blue line, completely outside in Greenfield, but they pushed. They got the penalty. They had that opportunity for the couple of minutes there, and of course, I know a lot of talking again about officials again was the decision that was being made about the timeout. So review came through after the Ciampini goal. They took the penalty for the coach's challenge, and then people were unhappy that they still called a timeout because, according to the rule books, in people's thought processes were that if they had the challenge at the time, then they'd lose their timeout as well. The league were quite quick to put out on the evening that say, that's something that we don't actually do. It's in the rule book where they can still have their timeout. And that's the thing, is every day is a school day. We have these things that, people, I don't know every iota, every quotation or anything like that within the rule book, within the league, and within hockey, the International Hockey Federation. So obviously don't try and pop quiz me. When you see me, any games, I won't have the answer. And this is the thing, we are in that level of understanding, at the time, people thought process was that we thought they were complaining where, the puck was going to go on neutral ice for puck drop again because the whistle was blown. Then you fully understand the ramifications that they thought that the timeout shouldn't have happened, why they're having a timeout. Can't say stop your timeout now, forget everything that the coach has said. It's kind of done. It's there. We'll learn for next time. But, this is the thing, is we want the sport to grow. We want to be all knowledgeable, all informative with everything that's happened. Even the rest of us don't fully know, the full ins and outs, which kind of leads to a question that was asked a few weeks ago with should officials be mic'd up and explain a call on the ice once it's been done. I mean, we might be there a wee bit longer, but it kind of opens that level because there's two factors that always happens is not retribution, but, people always keep a receipt within something that happens within that remit. People think they're hard done by because a call hasn't been made or a decision that hasn't gone their way, and then it leads to something that happens a couple of minutes later. You're always in that information where you can just, if someone says to them, look, this is the reason it's been done, there you go, fine. People can kind of just, they're still going to be unhappy about it. Of course you're going to be unhappy about it. It's all about tactical edge, anything like that. But, Clan pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. They utilised, obviously, that penalty that was there. But, you've got to credit Steelers as well. They held firm for what they did, when it had taken place, and then they pulled the netminder, and then it's just back to the wall. A couple opportunities to get an empty netter. Once again, still not around for a goalie goal in the Elite League when I'm there, but it's going to come one day. But that's the thing with officiating. Every week you kind of hear that conversation that people are discussing it. Is the thing that I've always found is that you never hear, actually, the official's top job. And I don't know if that's just a social media thing or because no one's telling me that in the Elite League, the National League, all through the pyramid or anything like that, rec hockey, kids level, officials are taking the time out to, without officials, there's no game. So is it just that people are unhappy with the decision they're going away from a fan base point of view because it's going against their team? It's very rare for, I'm probably nigh on impossible really to hear it, you know what? The refs, they cracked it, they literally every decision, they played it fair, they played it even, they got everything right. Are those things happening and people aren't just saying it? Or it's just very much when something happens, something negative happens, that people are very quick into hitting it there of, they've had a shit game, it's poor, it's pathetic, this and this. But you see them, I've been very fortunate, to see the officials there make decisions, the tough decisions that they know, especially this is the thing, is that if it goes against the away side, you hear smatterings, you hear a little bit ums and ahs and stuff like that. But going into a game where, especially with the arena teams, you got to look at going to Steelers, going to Panthers, going to Belfast, going to Cardiff, and this obviously isn't big team bias that I'm saying, but it takes a lot of balls to go into a building and make the right decision. And it's that old thing about Manchester United, their heyday with Ferguson, is that having that amount of people that are just booing, and they have the big screens. This is the thing, that you make a decision, you're going on your eyeballs of what you've seen and what you saw, and you can't review it. And then within 30 seconds, the player's gone to the box and a review's going on the screen of the decision that you've made, which is either going to amplify it as that you made the right decision, or it's going to amplify it that you made the wrong decision, and that building's just going to boo and rah, cheer and everything like that. But, one thing really is that, it's a sport, from 60 minutes of hockey that, all teams want to win. They want to be highly successful. And, officials have to make their point across. In an ideal world, looking at them, the heated conversations you see between officials and players, and where they're trying to remonstrate their thoughts, their opinions, or anything like that, in the heat of the moment, in the heat of battle, it's got to be commended, really, for me, because, you're kind of in a position there where you've got to kind of keep order. You're the last line of defense, really, with the level of officiating and everything like that. What you say goes. They might not agree with it, but you've got to lay down the law. And I've always said, I'm happy when a decision goes my way, because it's gone my way. Even if I know deep down that it's right, and a decision doesn't go my way, this is the thing. You play video games and stuff like that, and you're a little bit like, it's not real world in the sense that there's no consequences. But this is a sport game. If you go down 5-on-3, if you go 5-on-4 and you concede, and if the decision's right there, you take it on the chin or anything like that, but that the decision's wrong, and there's that level of infamy. They've all got it, infamy. Obviously a carry on joke if you're of the certain age like I am, but it kind of nips people in the bud. It kind of can either galvanize a building, or the negative effect is that they will be in a position where they think, well, we're not going to get anything tonight, and people are going to get more irritated, more angry, or anything like that, and that's where it kind of falls in. But for me, and I don't know if it's for everyone else, is that officiating from the highest level that we've had the last couple of weeks, yeah, there's always going to be flashpoints, of course, but I've never been, in the last couple of weeks, any game that I've seen, home or away, or watching on a stream, I've come out the back of it thinking, oh, they've had a mare. Obviously, from an oversight or anything like that, I think communication-wise is that, last couple of weeks, docs haven't been around. People, every single week you see it, oh, wake up dops or anything like that. This person should get this ban. This person should get that ban. This person gets this, that. Who's taken the 5-person because he's gone to play in another country? Who's taken his ban or anything like that? There's just so many angles that are coming through. But, the simplest and purest thing that's happening is really, I've not seen any officiating where it's kind of caused anything that's, I've not had to get a video out that's kind of showing something from different angles, from zooming in, slow motion or anything like that, and say how the referees have missed that. So, even if I'm not posting it, obviously other people can post stuff as well, fully understand that. But I've not been seeing that recently. It's always been, maybe there's been a fight here or there, or a good goal or anything like that. That's what we're kind of focusing on the last couple of weeks. And that's actually a really good feeling. Of course, certain games, certain officials play in a particular building and officiate, and then names under the sun get called out. Even before the puck's been dropped, they're going to say that this is going to happen, that's going to happen. And it really hasn't. So, last couple of weeks, what we've said, we'd love to speak to someone within the officiating circle, just to get a better understanding, a better grasp of what it all entails and what kind of brings to the forefront in their mind, and what's being done and what can do to improve the sport. And, if they are still doing what they're doing last couple of years by getting everyone together at the beginning of the season to talk about new rule implementations and looking at video and assessments. I've been in so many training days at work where you do these workshops or anything like that and say, what's good customer service? What's this? What's that? How would you approach this? And then you kind of go around the table and it's, no answer's wrong. And it's always grasping people's thought processes or anything like that. So there's all that to factor in. And, we're quite fortunate really that the last couple of weeks there hasn't been anything that's kind of jumped out. I mean, if there is, correct me if I'm wrong, send the stuff over, we'll have a look at it. Of course we will, we'll open that up, but I've not been to a game where I've thought, okay, this is going to be damage control or damage limitation because people are going to be kicking and screaming about this bad boy. But yeah, they've done a really bang up job for the last couple of games that I've been to. So all for it, credit to them. And that's always a great thing to see. So let's go through the round robin questions, looking at the times or anything like that. So let's go for quick fire. So can a team from Scotland win the playoffs? If we're going this season, no. If we're going the next couple of seasons, yes. Obviously, depending on what happens with Fife, new ownership, new plans, new ideas, different mentalities, whoever they bring in, great building, great fan base, get Brits in the door, get the right imports, money's coming through. All depends, obviously, if they are still in the Elite League or they make the move or anything like that. Stars, again, great fan base, great building to watch them play. It was great to see them when they came to playoffs when Omar was last season for Omar, really. I think they beat Steelers in the quarterfinal to go through. Really great opportunity for them. I mean, sorry for obviously if the person who asked this question has a Scottish team or anything like that, but if the question's going to be who's going to be that team that wins a Scottish team in the playoffs, Clan is probably the closest one out of the three at this moment in time that could win a playoffs. If you were looking this year, outside opportunity, depending on who they play in those quarterfinal games, if they get through to the playoff quarterfinals, it's a Corey team. Corey in the playoffs. Corey's in a two-headed situation playing there. They've got ample opportunity. They've recruited well this season. If they can build upon that, keep the players that they've got now and see what's right, because the more time that Corey has in a team that he can grow and develop as well, got to tap in with young Brits as well, being clever, being savvy with what he's doing. Ideal. That's the kind of person more than anything really is. But yeah, the question is if there was going to be a Scottish team to win the playoffs, especially with their special jerseys and special t-shirts and special themes that they do and the numbers of fans that make the trip down, that's probably the one out of many teams that would be there this moment in time that would do it. So which current players can you see making a move to coaching an EIHL team eventually? That's the thing really. Current players, the level of experience that certain players have, got to credit Clarkey for, he's not coaching in the sense of, coaching a team, but the hard work that he does with his academies or anything like that. A lot of players recently, you've kind of seen that they're a part of these training camps or academies or anything like that. Stevie Lee's doing it with them, Caden Logan get involved, Corey get involved as well. I know it's not coaching a team eventually, but, there's so many people that you can tap into that potential really, especially with, the people here, not even UK guys, Kevin Tansey's got his, train with Kevin Tansey in a couple of weeks' time. He's, 9-year pro or anything like that. These players that come in have all this knowledge and experience of being in the hockey system in the UK, America, Canada, abroad, that can just have so many ideas, so many suggestions that, these young kids look to and inspire. You could quite easily see Robert Dowd, with his knowledge and, leadership potential, being in that aspect of being at Sheffield, coaching and supporting people, would be interesting to see, him coaching a team in the future. But, it's more of a question if these people want to do the job, really. It's, what is life after hockey like for them? Do they want to do it? Do they want to move into punditry, commentary or anything like that, coaching? what do they know? Do they want a 9 to 5 job afterwards or anything like that? But you could easily quite see, Jono at Steel Dogs or anything like that. But it's very tough to say someone for an elite league team, because you look at, Andrew Lord, you look at Keith coming in and Danny Stewart as well. Omar, these people that have played for a couple of seasons, and then, Tim Hollis as well. And, there's just so many factors of people that have played in the league that have tried it and then just stuck at it. And, credit where credit's due that, these players now, it is a real big tough one. You look at the experience that these people have. Would it be interesting to see them in suits? I mean, got to look at, Zach Vanel, played Clan, went to Steelers halfway through a season, didn't fully expect him to be assistant coach, still playing when he can at Blaze if they need him, but him, being an assistant coach there. Johnny Curran, not the situation he expected when he was going to Fife, but he stood up and done the job admirably as well. Matt Ginn, there's just, it's very tough, the type of people that could be coaches. But for the Elite League, very tough. But there's probably handfuls of them that are playing now that I think would be really good to either training camps or anything. Not ideal, because the fact is that it's now March. But if they were looking at back-ending it of second-year deals that were coming to certain teams, I would actively seek out, ice time. If it's Nottingham CCM Rink, if it's Ice Sheffield, with certain players that could just do a couple of hours a week with these kids that are just growing and developing, even in a classroom or anything like that, or just doing seminars or anything like that they could record, it'd be perfect for them, because as the sport is growing and, these players are getting more popular and getting more opportunities, entrepreneurship, or, being successful on and off the ice, there is an opportunity with that. Of course, cost implication or anything like that, and time and all these factor in more than anything. But, these are players that people admire and look up to, that they watch them play and train and see their superstitions and mannerisms that, we're in a world, that people used to, for me in the football world, I remember when people tried to be Eric Cantona, Cristiano Ronaldo, David Beckham, and all that. People emulate it, and it's not just football. Tennis, it was Andy Murray. If it was wrestling, it was don't try this at home, kids, but I did when I was a kid. But cricket, there's certain players that people look up to at cricket. It's the same with hockey. People, if you've got a young kid that's a netminder and their team's got a netminder, I'm sure they do certain things, tapping to the stick, the way that they're drinking, the way they tilt the head or anything like that, and make saves based on what they see and watch video and everything like that. Same with forwards. There's probably a special move or anything that they've seen that they want to emulate their heroes to. So to have a weekend with those people, or a couple of hours with those people, is highly important. And from a training point of view, you kind of feel that these people have so much to give, playing week in, week out. Of course, it's very easy for me to say this because I don't have the implications of training the way they do and the stuff on and off the ice. But there's so many people now that have got the experience and the mannerisms that could happily train the players of tomorrow, not just Brits, imports, or anything like that. Get them on board, get them dialed in, help the next generation today. There we go. So last one from me really was looking through and talking about social media. The question really was, it wasn't really a question. It was more of, got a couple of thank yous really about the content that we've done the last couple of weeks with the videos that we do at games, and, getting the goals, the fights, the saves, the action, a little bit of that. And, a lot of people were, saying, there was a mixture really of, saying it's great content, it's great videos, it's great that you can get these photos and videos that you do week in, week out. And, people have said, oh, it's better than what some teams do on their social media channels. And, firstly about that, really appreciative that, you like the content and everything like that. But, a lot of people within the social media teams work very, very hard to get content, not just on a game day, but in the week when they're very limited in what they can do with the training. And these people have jobs, 9 to 5 jobs on top of it. Canva, spending hours on there. I've done that, been there. Match day updates is so tough. To try and get the right player's name, everything that's happened, get a descriptive. You might say they've tapped it in, it might have been a worldie, and then the vice versa. And it's like, well, that's not correct. You might put shit instead of shots. Seen that a few times. Get the wrong person, wrong graphic, wrong score line, anything like that. And it's a very hard thing to do that a lot of people want that content in the moment, especially if you're not watching a stream. There's not a YouTube channel that you can do it. There's not like a Soccer Saturday kind of thing as the goals go in. You've got every team on favorite. So as soon as they ping a message, you're in there straight away to know exactly what's happened. You want to know how, what, why, when. And it's tough going for team social media. So do appreciate, obviously, people saying that. But, it's working in harmony. Is that I've always said this, that, the Elite League is that kind of the bread and butter, that one there, the team social. I'm that kind of next one along where, I've said, I can't be at every game every weekend. I might be at certain games more than other teams, of course. There is a few more rink tours. There is one that I'm organising for the 30th of March that I should be going to. It is a team that I've been to previously, so I'm looking forward to going back. They've got good stovies, so obviously if you know, where we will be on the 30th of March. And I will get stovies again, regardless. No one's going to stop me. But, I'm thankful that everyone is happy with the content that we deliver and we post on social media. And then, we want to show what we can do. This is the thing, Chasing the Puck has been very special to me the last couple of years. And I just want to get the best videos, the best articles, the best podcasts, the best interviews, the best writing. But, I've always said, if anyone wants to do a guest article, if anyone wants to get us any photos, any videos or anything like that, it doesn't even have to be DM to us. If you just tag us in anything, we'll retweet it. If it's on Instagram, we'll put it on our stories, we'll put it on Facebook, we'll share it, we'll retweet it on social media, because the thing is that it's hockey for everyone. We laugh and joke about original content or anything like that. And, everything that we can post, and I get the messages saying you're only posting about certain 1 or 2 teams, which is true. I fully understand that. But obviously the problem is that, if you look at me going to Belfast tomorrow for a couple of days, it's not relatively easy to go to these places and spend a couple of time doing these things. So it's special moments. We'll fully embrace it and do the best that we possibly can to get the content. I can't have 20 streams that go to get all the videos and stuff like that, but I need you guys. So, thank you very much for the messages of support and, people coming up to us and saying, I want one of those jackets, and not trying to take it off my back while I'm talking to you. They are coming out in the next couple of weeks. I'm just finalizing that and the cost implications, because the last thing I want to do is, bring out these t-shirt jackets and whatnot and think, okay, he's a little bit expecting it to be this amount when people are struggling. So we're going to look at it to make sure it's feasible and financially correct for people before we start doing stuff like that. So watch this space. But yeah, thank you very much for another episode, sticking by with me for 22, as Taylor Swift said. We're feeling 22, and it was the only excuse for the video, for the music that I was going to do for this week on our social media channels, and the only excuse I needed to put Taylor Swift songs on. But obviously, thank you very much. Twitter, big push on followers the last couple of weeks has been greatly appreciated. We are nearly at 95,000 on Facebook. So the target of trying to get to 100,000 by playoffs is still possible. So if you're not following us on Facebook, give us a follow. Same with Twitter. Instagram, of course, as well. Instagram's fun. Still tweaking what we're posting on that one. And TikTok, that's still something that's completely alien to me, but we'll get there. But yeah, listen to our podcasts, review it, follow us if you're not already. Same with YouTube, follow us, reviews, tick that like button that's on the screen. If you've stayed this far, I salute you and applaud you. If you've fast forwarded it to it, you missed some good bits on the replay, but you can always go back and listen to it to your heart's content. So yeah, obviously we'll try and get some interviews over the next couple of days on our social media channels. If there's any Belfast fans or Giants fans, Devils fans that want to do any interviews with us while we're there for a couple of days, if you want to come and chat, come and say hi. I'm the one who looks like a walking billboard with the Chasing the Puck logo on the back and the front and the side. There isn't Chasing the Puck underwear yet. That'll come out in 2026 probably. But yeah, it'd be lovely to see and meet some new people for the first time, and the old favourites that I've seen that made the trip from Belfast the last couple of seasons that I've already met previously. So really appreciate it. Thank you very much for your time. Everyone have a lovely week. Enjoy the final if you're watching it live or you're watching it on the stream. And then, yeah, we've got plenty to talk about with another weekend of hockey that's falling this way. Saturday, Sunday, Friday. So have a good time. Thank you very much, everyone, for your time.